So welcome, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to be here. This should take roughly an hour. What I want to do here today is introduce you to one of the many coaching solutions and tools that you receive when you join the Center for Executive Coaching. It's called the Leader's Dashboard. It's a very simple but powerful tool, extremely versatile. And frankly, I've been really surprised at how well received it's been from my clients and from the clients of our graduates in the program, whether they're internal or external coaches. So I look forward to sharing that with you. I'll work to get you two documents momentarily, but I only want to send those once. And so I want to make sure we have maximum attendance as people pop on. Briefly, the Center for Executive Coaching is an ICF accredited coach training organization. We were among the first batch to receive their level 2 accreditation, which is a big deal. That used to be the ACTP. Soon we'll also have the level 1 add-on. Essentially, that means you can get an ICF designation with us the easiest way without having to submit recordings to the ICF, which can take months to review. We've been in business since about 2002, formally under this corporate name since 2006. And our specialty is working with already successful professionals, right? So we're a boutique executive coach training and certification firm. We never want to be the biggest. We just want to attract the best members and participants. And those people, hopefully yourself included, are typically people with a track record of success, sometimes in leadership roles, sometimes through advanced education. We get a lot of lawyers, physicians, psychologists in our program, as well as people at the executive level, returned military leaders as high as the admiral and general ranks. We get a couple of elite athletes. We've had a few coaches from professional sports teams join us, which is always fun. And so we get wonderful people. And to me, to be an executive coach is a privilege. And I think it's important to start with some ability to be credible to your clients. That doesn't mean you have to coach at the C-suite of Fortune 500 companies. We train internal and external coaches who are coaching in the for-profit, not-for-profit, education, government, solopreneurs, solo professionals, organizations of all sizes in 32 countries around the world. Briefly, my name's Andrew Neitlich, Neitlich. You can reach out to me anytime if you want a strategy session about coach certification. That's why I do these webinars, is to introduce you to our tools. And if you think they look interesting and you see a potential fit and you're thinking about getting certified pretty soon, I'd be delighted to speak with you. I was a management consultant for a very long time after graduating from Harvard Business School. And I noticed a pattern among the clients I was working with. I was working with a boutique firm, but had about 80 million in revenue, 350 consultants came. It was started by some partners who were at McKinsey formerly. And after a while, I noticed that clients were saying the same thing. We'd work all night long to present these PowerPoint decks to them, all sorts of analyses, benchmarking them. And the clients inevitably started saying, this looks right. I kind of expected this. And they were paying anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 for these benchmarking studies. And so over time, I just started saying, you paid a lot of money for this and you already knew the answer. May I ask why you did this? And client after client said the same thing. They said, look, I'm not hiring you so much for these very pretty PowerPoints and elegant analyses. We have people who can do that too. I need someone I can talk to. I'm in a position where I have to make tough decisions to lead our organization forward. And I don't feel like I have anybody I can talk to in confidence. And that's your real value to me. And so for me, that turned on the light that coaching was something I should probably do. I didn't love flying around the world, particularly nationally at that time, waking up at 5 a.m. on a Monday, coming back late at night on a Thursday, sometimes working weekends, and managing these teams of analysts. I like working alone. And so I started a coaching practice. It took me about 6 months before I got my first client. I made every mistake I could. And we teach those mistakes now in our program so that you don't have to make them. But within about a year and a half, or a year after my first client, I was making far more than I ever did as a consultant. And I was loving my work, truly loving it. And to this day, 20 years later, I work from home, make an excellent income, work with amazing clients. Right after this webinar, I'm working with a leader in the biotech field And it's just absolutely amazing work, very flexible. And I'm working with leaders on their most important issues. So that's a little bit about me. I lead the Center for Executive Coaching as well as coaching clients because I believe it's important to stay fresh and because I love coaching. So if you too happen to like developing people, coaching, helping people be their best, if you're already successful professional, so you bring something to the table, so you're credible, and you're what we call verbally agile, meaning you're good at listening, good at going in the flow with people, clients, you might be an excellent coach. It's a wonderful career change. The profession's experiencing continued growth in the market. And so I encourage you to reach out anytime. Okay, the ICF is the International Coaching Federation. I see that question. It's not the IFC. In fact, I just put up a blog on my LinkedIn saying that a significant percentage of people call it the IFC, but that's the International. Oh, no, that's the Independent Film Channel. So you have to call your cable company for that. The ICF is the International Coaching Federation, and it's just something to look into. You don't need it unless you're going to be coaching in large organizations through HR. We offer that the ability to get their designation as well as our own certification and training in best practice tools. Okay, so let's talk about the Leaders Dashboard, which is what you came here for today. Just as some background, right, you see on this page here, coaching methods, tools, and distinctions. We have over 30 coaching solutions and tools, just like the one you're going to see today, that help leaders through their most pressing issues. It's one of the things that sets the Center for Executive Coaching apart from other programs, right? Other programs are going to teach you how to ask, some generic high-level questions, listen to the client, and so on. What happens, though, when the coach and client are stuck? What we provide you with are a series of coaching solutions so that you can go much deeper and much broader and explore just about every possible opportunity for discussion and really brainstorm with the client and help them look deeply at their challenge and come up with the best possible solution. These toolkits have been proven over 20 years. They've been refined over 20 years. Coaches in 32 countries use them, and they're eclectic. We're not pushing a particular philosophy on you as other programs do. We are working backwards from the challenge the client has and using best practices and an eclectic approach to help your clients get results. One of the starting points is the Leaders Dashboard. So in our curriculum, after we focus a little bit on how to have a coaching conversation that works, the core competencies of coaching, how to set up an engagement properly, the coaching process, how to contract with a client up front, how to set goals, how to make sure the client's coachable, how to assess the client, we get to this part of the curriculum. And what the Leaders Dashboard is a very versatile tool that can be used in a number of situations. For me, I use it, for instance, I'm meeting a client right after this webinar. Last week, we went through his Leaders Dashboard. And essentially what it does on one page is force the client or challenge the client to write down the most important things for them as a leader: their vision, their mission, their values, top priorities, top metrics, key relationships, and development opportunities. And that allows the coach and the client to get to know each other. The coach can assess the client based on where they have clarity and where they don't on these things. And it becomes a living, breathing document over time. And you can use this in a number of situations with a client. I use it right up front as an assessment tool. I use it as a development plan. And for clients that are overwhelmed, which is a lot of clients these days, this is a wonderful tool to get clients focused on what matters most, as you'll see in a moment. Okay, so let me walk you through a little bit what a toolkit looks like, and let me start taking you through the actual Leaders Dashboard. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll here. I'll give you this document, assuming we can get it through the chat, by the end, if you stick around a little bit. Okay, just so that you have it. But I want to show you all of our toolkits have a ton of content for you, right? So we're very different than other coach training organizations because you're going to get about 1,000 pages of these tools, as well as PowerPoints if you want to do trainings or group coaching. And so we always start with an executive summary of what the tool is, when to use the tool, prompts, what the client tells you that tells you, you might want to introduce this toolkit or solution, the coaching plan, other related solutions to consider, proposal language so that you know how to write a proposal for this when appropriate, and some practical tips on really how to execute this. And then you see the toolkit itself. And here with this one, we go on for you get about 63 pages of content, or more, 100 pages of content. So it's a pretty good, meaty tool. Okay. So look, just so you see, there's an overview with an executive summary. I already took you through that. When to use the toolkit, right? And again, I'm just going to get to the tool soon, but I want you to see how robust our own coaching solutions, tools, and distinctions are. There's some prompts that tell you when to use this tool, the process. Just so you know, by the way, this is how I use this particular tool. You're going to see in a minute, it's just one page. I hand out that one page to the client with some instructions, and they work on it. And when we meet, usually during the assessment phase of the coaching, they'll come back with their one-page leadership dashboard completed to the best of their ability. And I'll coach them on it. I'll ask them, what did you take away? Where are you not clear? Where would you like coaching? What do you want to talk about? What was most insightful for you? Essentially, we're going to go where the client wants to go and help the client come up with this. When they do, they often find it to be so powerful that they want the rest of their team to also fill in this toolkit to make sure everybody's aligned and on the same page. And then the client will then revise it and complete it. And periodically we can take it out during our coaching sessions and say, how are you doing on this dashboard in addition to everything else we're working on? Okay. And then of course we talk about other toolkits. In this case, this is really an introduction and part of the assessment phase of the coaching. So the leader's dashboard can often point to areas where further coaching is needed. Okay, and then again, there's the proposal language sample. You see, when you join the Center for Executive Coaching, you also get a lot of information about business development, how to price, how to get visible, how to set yourself apart, how to really build a practice, when to write proposals, when not to, how to sell without selling, essentially how to coach the client through the buying process. So anyway, in each of these toolkits, we make this a little bit more specific for you so that you can make it happen. Okay, so let's look at the toolkit. And what I'd like to do now is actually share with you what I hand out to clients. So I hand out to clients just 2 pages. It's the dashboard with instructions. Okay, so if all goes well right now, I'm going to send this to you through the chat. Okay, so hold on a minute. If there's any questions about what these coaching solutions are or the leader's dashboard so far, please put those in the chat as well while I'm tracking down this document. Okay, hold on, just give me a second here to do that. And if you're listening to the recording and you're serious about joining our program, shoot me an email and we can have a strategy session, and I'm happy to get you a copy of this as well. Okay. All right, so hold on. Okay, so here's the document coming through now. Hopefully you should all see it in the chat. Okay. And so let me take you through it and we'll do it together. What this larger document is, the one that's about 100 pages, is almost an ebook that takes you through how to fill out this whole thing. I mean, it's really amazing. It has exercises for everything that's part of it. I'm going to, work a little bit more just from how I would coach clients. And I think it would be interesting if maybe we can come up with our own leadership dashboard together here for you. Okay. So let me show you what we have here. It's really simple. I mean, sometimes the simplest things we do are the most powerful. But essentially what we're doing is creating a dashboard that asks our client to think about their vision, mission, values, edge, top 3 initiatives, performance metrics, key relationships, and top development opportunities, right? And it's set up, you'll see that, you can type it in as a form. All right. And again, there's instructions about what all of these things are on the first page. That's all I give the client, right? You don't want to give a huge toolkit to the client. Those are for you to learn how to coach. And again, the toolkit takes you through a lot of what I'm going to cover today. And again, I'll get it to you at the end if you'd like it. Okay. And just to remind you, the whole purpose of my doing this is to give you a sense of our program, my teaching style, even though I'm just one of about 6 faculty members that teach the program. And if you're interested, we have a seminar coming up September 19th, 20th, and the 21st. That is virtual. You don't have to travel, and you'll get our certification at the end. So this is a nice taste to see if you'd like to do that, or if the seminar isn't your thing, you can just reach out and we can talk about other ways to get through the program, including distance learning, the full International Coaching Federation training, and so on. So let's start. I think it'll be interesting to see for you, for whatever area of responsibility you want to think about, but ideally for you as a coach to think about these issues. Okay. And so let's start. And when I do this with clients, sometimes I'll do it I like to start with clients for their area of responsibility in their organization. But you could also do this as a career planning tool and look at their general career. You could do it as a life tool. I've done this with some clients where they say, hey, I want to do this for my overall life. And look at what's my vision for where I'm taking my life or different areas of my life. It's an extremely versatile tool. But for now, think about yourself as a coach, whether you're an internal coach or you want to be an external coach. And let's see if we can make some traction here, right? The idea is, imagine, like my clients, when they do this, what they tell me they like best is that they come in the morning to work and they look at this. And if whatever they're doing isn't related to this leadership dashboard, they don't do it. So it really gets to that 80-20 rule of being as productive as they can, right? The most successful leaders are often successful because of how they say no and set boundaries and how they focus their time. All right, so let's get into it. There's a good question in the chat about do we teach internal and external coaching? We do. We're often brought into some Fortune 500 companies, mid-sized companies, to train internal coaches. So we're very versed on the best practices of internal coaching groups. And when we train internal coaching groups, we often have some discussions about how to implement those best practices, get noticed by senior leadership, attach the coaching to the most important strategic initiatives, avoid the stigma of what some people think coaching is, which it isn't, that last resort before you're fired. So yes, in our program, you're definitely going to learn distinctions between internal and external coaching, right? Internal coaches have it harder than external coaches. You have one customer essentially, and sometimes you don't have a choice in who you coach. Whereas external coaches, we have a much easier time of saying no when it seems like we have a client that's not going to be a good fit or isn't particularly coachable. So let's start with vision. Let's get back to the leadership dashboard. Think about, I want you to get grounded in your vision as a coach, right? Just imagine we're doing this for you as a coach, and you pick your time frame, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Let's just say you're enormously successful as a coach. I mean, you feel great, you're fulfilled, you're doing everything you want to do. Tell the story backwards for a minute. Just scribble some notes about what happened. Who have you coached? What are you famous for? What have been your biggest achievements? What credentials did you get? Are you working from a home office like me with a 7-figure practice? Do you have employees? Are you rolling out training programs and content? Do you have contractors? What would it mean for you? And again, feel free to type into the chat if you'd like. This was instrumental for me. I knew I didn't want to travel anymore. I wanted to work from home. I wanted to write books. I wanted to speak. When I did travel, I wanted to go to amazing places to meet with amazing clients. And I've achieved all of those things so far. So I keep updating my vision based on what I love to do. Last week, I told you I did this with a client. Again, just to give it a client example, he's in the biotechnology industry, and his vision is all about how many companies he's going to help reach scale that will make a difference in the biotech world. It was really a very inspiring vision, and we talked quite a bit about that, and he found this to be an incredible exercise to get him grounded in why he was doing what he was doing and what he wanted to achieve long term, as well as looking at whether the organization he was in now was the best way for him to achieve his vision. Okay. Anyone want to share anything about vision? There's a few ways to do vision. There's 3 ways, in fact. One is what I just shared. Have the client talk backwards about what they achieved and what they're really proud of, sort of talking about the future as if it already happened. 2 is I have some clients that are really visual, And so what they'll do is go on to Google Images and start pasting together a collage, maybe in a PowerPoint document, of different images that represent their vision. So like I had one client, he just created a 4-square grid. One had the sport he loved to play, one had his family, one had travel, and one had some aspirations for peace and relaxation. And the third way is to use some imagery. Like I'd love for you right now, if you would, I mean, close your eyes. You're not on camera, so we can't see you. And if you were to imagine one image for what your practice represents, when you achieve your goal, one metaphor, maybe something from nature, maybe something from geology, mountains, rivers, maybe a design, maybe something from astronomy, whatever it is, one immediate image that comes to mind. Like for me, it was pretty boring. It was a big, thick oak tree. That was my vision for what I wanted. I wanted that's just what came to me. And sometimes I'll do that with a client. And then I'll ask the client, well, what about now? What image comes now? Like for me, again, I'm not the greatest at imagery, so maybe it was a cliche, but it was just a little sapling, right? So that'll be the second exercise. The second question I'll ask, and then I ask the client, where are you in this picture in each case? And that's interesting too. For instance, for me with that big oak tree, where was I? Was I far away, not in the picture? Was I on a branch? Was I nurturing the oak tree? So that's vision, 3 ways to do it. I personally really, I'm not naturally visual that way and creative that way, but I love the metaphors. Metaphors tap into a different part of the brain and can be real powerful. So that's vision. Any questions about vision? Vision for me, it's just, where do you want to go? Okay. So mission is the why. And we have an instant mission in this toolkit that's really, really amazing to me. The first time I did it with a client, they were shocked and angry. And they were angry because they said, we just spent $20,000 on a consultant to come up with our mission, and you just did it for us in 10 minutes. Right. So I'm going to give you an instant mission statement. When I did this for myself, it changed everything. Right around that time, I was thinking of getting out of consulting and going into coaching. I did an exercise similar to this, and it really gave me the passion and the drive, or reinforced my desire to move into a coaching model. And so here's what I want you to do. All I want you to do is list 1, 2, or 3 skills that you are very good at and you like doing, right? Like I took an exam once that said I'd probably be a good lawyer, but I really don't like that kind of approach to thinking. It doesn't make me feel good, that slicing and dicing with logic, right? So even though a test said I was good at it, I wouldn't use that here. I want you to pick like 2 or 3 activities, skills that you like to do, like end with an ing. Like for me, it was speaking, training, writing. I've seen convening, using one's sense of humor, bringing people together, networking, building relationships, listening, using intuition. I want you to come up with like 2 or 3 things that you do really well and enjoy doing, right? So like in our family, we've gotten very good with 3 kids at doing laundry. It just seems like there's this rotating doing of laundry, but we hate it. We hate it. Probably need some coaching on how to get the kids to do more laundry. So I wouldn't put that under my mission statement. Okay. So write down 1, 2, or 3 things, end in ing, right? I think that's called a gerund, right? Again, speaking, writing, competing, whatever it is. And then the second thing I want you to write down is like, if people in the world were complete for you, like they had a way of being, doing, experiencing, having, whatever it is, what would that state be? Like in a perfect world, everybody, what? Like Nike would say, in a perfect world, everybody experiences the thrill of competition. Disney would say everybody has lots of smiles and amazing memories. Right? What about for you? What kind of world do you want to create? Not world though, like the rock we live on, but world in terms of the contribution you can make for people. Right? So like for mine was a lot about abundance, freedom, independence. I want all people to experience abundance, freedom, and independence. It should be short and simple. If you go on too long, you don't have it yet. Okay, so take a minute, maybe write in the text in the chat what you came up with. And again, you know, like I did this with my client that I'm meeting with right after this, and I met with last week to do this tool. And, you know, he was so clear on his mission. He knew what he was good at, and he knew the difference he wanted to make in the world. And of course, it's easy in biotech, right? We're helping people be healthier. I didn't work with, but I know of a company that designs bathroom fixtures, especially toilets, right? And you think, well, how can they come up with a mission that's interesting? It's so boring. And what they came up with, we're going to use our design and engineering skills to make the world a cleaner, safer, more hygienic place, right? That's brilliant. That's a great mission. So now I want you to put the two together and see what you come up with. All right. And here's how you put them together. You say, I will use my, right over your 2 or 3, you know, activities or skills that you know, that you like to do. Write down, I will use my, like, I will use my sense of humor, or, you know, ability to make people laugh, or, you know, I will use my coaching, teaching, training, right? Write down whatever it is for you. Like I have listening, I see here, teaching and writing, inspiring confidence in others. Great examples. Thank you. And then you put, in order to create a world in which everybody, and then fill in what you came up with for the second part. Right? So one of you says peace of mind. So you're going to use your God-given talents to create a world where everybody has peace of mind, right? I'll use my listening skills so that everybody feels special, is what one of you says. That's great. So that's mission. Again, I can do this with a client in what did we do this in? 5 minutes? And sometimes it comes out mindless, and sometimes it's really powerful, like breathtakingly powerful. It gets a client totally grounded in why they are on this earth, right? Because what is a mission other than using the talents we were born with in order to make the difference we want to make? That's it. That's a mission. That's the why, right? When people say they have to find themselves, they don't. They just have to take 5 minutes to do this exercise. We'll find them. You're right here. Let's just look at what you're good at and what you want to create in the world, and that's your mission. Okay. Number 3 is values. Now, when I'm working with leaders on values, you know, often these big companies have laminated cards with their values on it. I don't care about that, right? Those are dead. Those aren't living, breathing values. So I ask my client what their values are, and then I'm going to ask them, so where don't you live these values? For instance, a CEO of a company that says our value is respect, and yet that same CEO is berating employees at town hall meetings. Right? That's not respect. Or the CEO says, you know, we really care, and yet they're tolerating salespeople that are abusive to the sales team and leave bodies in their wake. Right? Values are interesting, where we're looking at where people don't live their values. Okay. So for instance, and sometimes this is very interesting to look at one's alignment with a company. One of my first clients ever had just left a major automobile manufacturer, and he had been there his whole life, and he went to a cable company, and he left the cable company in 3 months because the values of that company just were so antithetical to his values. He just didn't realize that other companies might have different values. And in this case, that cable company had a 2-tier system. Management treated itself like gold, treated the employees poorly. And of course, coming from a union-based automobile manufacturer, he rose up from the ranks. He had a very different experience. I have a client where I asked him, you know, he came up with his values. They included some wonderful values, things, you know, stoicism, innovation, creativity. And I said, so scale of 1 to 10 in your current role, how closely aligned is this organization that you're in with your values? And he said 4 out of 10. That's not a very good score. So the coaching gets really interesting now. So I say, so what keeps you there? Right? What can we work on? You know, assuming you want to stay. Became a very interesting discussion. And indeed, there were reasons he stayed there. This particular company gave him tons of autonomy. He couldn't get anywhere else, so he could grow and develop. So even though it wasn't a great fit right now with his values, it was setting him up. He knew why he was there. And that's really important, because now we could go from being miserable about our position to realizing, okay, here's why I'm there, and making a choice and coping. So the values discussion can be absolutely fascinating. I don't hit clients over the head with values. I think some coaches focus so much on values that they become cloying and annoying. But right up front at the beginning of a coaching engagement, I think it's interesting to know and to look at, is our client living their values? If they're running an organization, are they modeling the values they want others to see? So that's values. Write down a few of your non-negotiable values, if you would. In your toolkit, there's a whole list of idea joggers of different values. So if clients aren't sure, I'll give them that list and I'll have them circle maybe 10 to 15 values that they really resonate with, and then cut that list down and cut that list down. And I'll also ask them, what values won't you tolerate when you see them? So we have help for clients that have trouble coming up with their values. Okay. There's also assessments that you can do that look at values. Next up is your edge. This is really important. A lot of professionals undersell themselves or think they're the same, right? So if, for instance, you're in human resources and a leader there, you might think to yourself, what sets me apart? I'm the same as everybody else. No, you're not. And often a coach can help a client figure out their edge or the edge of their organization. Coaches have a hard time with this. A lot of coaches say things that are silly about their edge. I'm the best listener. I'm intuitive. We kind of expect that from a coach. That's like an airline saying we land safely, right? What you do when you join our program is we're going to help you figure out what sets you apart, where you can really spike in the marketplace and position yourself so that people think of you first when they have a need. Okay, so think about that for your edge, right? Unlike other executive coaches, what sets you apart? It could be your years of experience, results you've gotten, an amazing, we call it a wow story or walk on water story that you have, credentials, the number of organizations you've worked with, the size of your budget, something you've created, the tools, certainly our certification, a proprietary methodology you use. If you're going to get into coaching, whether you're internal or external, you really want to have something that differentiates yourself, just as any professional needs. And so this is fantastic coaching. The client I'm working with this week, that I did this dashboard with last time, he knew his edge. He knows his edge. He's very clear on what he does well in the biotechnology field. He's very good at analysis, learning science quickly, and identifying potential winners. He's just really good at that. It's a great skill to have. So he was clear on it. Other people I work with often are not clear on it. And so we can help. Okay. Anyone type in, anyone have a sense of what your edge might be as a coach? It's something we'll talk about in our program, should you decide you'll join, which I hope you will. Okay, I don't see anything. Any questions so far? Okay, good. Understands or values that diverse styles of executives, right? Adaptability could be an edge. That's great. So now notice what happens here. We're going from things that are a bit more strategic to things that are a bit more tactical. And so these two go together. I want to ask my client, what are your top 3 initiatives and your top 3 performance metrics? And again, this could be for their current role. It could be for their career, but it's really important that we limit the number. I work a lot in healthcare. I once worked with a healthcare system and a CEO. He said, I'm really proud of this, Andrew. I got to take you here. He took me to this war room, and in it, they had their top 150 strategic priorities, like all over the walls. They had what the priority was, who was in charge of it. And I was like, how do you manage this? You can't manage 150 different strategic priorities. And so we worked together and got it down to 5, right? What we found were there were a lot of doctors who wouldn't talk to each other, who started their own absolutely identical initiative. There were things that could be combined, things that were meeting, or initiatives where people were meeting and it was time to wrap up. And so we got it down to 5 broad categories. I don't like 5, I like 3, but in healthcare systems, I'll accept 5 because they're just so complicated and it's so hard to get them focused. And then I want specific performance metrics. How specifically will you measure success, right? So for you as a coach, what would be your top 3 initiatives? Maybe it's to get coach certification, come up with your positioning, start getting visible in the market. And maybe the performance, for me, a good performance metric, if you're just starting out, is get your first client. right? After 1 year, I could track a very large majority of my work back to 2 clients through referrals and so on. Once you get a client or two, you can really get some momentum as a coach, right? But think about what these are. At different times in my career, performance metrics have been everything from, complete a book, team up with a best-selling author to write a book. I ended up writing 3 guerrilla marketing books with the late, great J. Conrad Levinson. Could be number of clients, revenue, work from home and match your salary. Or, if you're employed and you want to start a practice on the side, it could be, get a couple of clients on the side to prove that you can do it. But what this does now is make it real. We're focusing our client, right? It said that again, the best leaders say no to things and set boundaries. They use that 80-20 rule. This tool now allows a client to understand why they're doing what they're doing, where they're heading, and the most important initiatives, like the 20% of initiatives that will get them 80% of the way. And so they know to say no to other stuff. And a lot of our coaching can now be focused on their time and how they use their time, whether they're using it in the most strategic, powerful manner possible for their role and where they want to go or where they want to take their organization. And it's really cool. Very simple tool, but it's a great dashboard. Next, we move to key relationships. In the program, we have a number of tools about building professional relationships up, down, across, and outside the organization. We have a lot on resolving conflict, influencing, building one's power base. But here, what I want the client to do is list the specific relationships they have to nurture, right? We have a tool where we break these relationships down. Are they mentors and sponsors? Are they supporters? Are they neutral? Are they antagonists? Are they nemesis or foils? Are you not even on their radar screen? And we have some great coaching methodologies to help our clients think about relationships. A lot of the coaching that I do is in highly technical organizations as well as highly political organizations, but a lot of people trained in technical fields often don't even understand that there's a whole currency of relationships flowing throughout an organization. As a coach, you can help people see that and get things done much more easily and effectively, have more impact, and so on. So I want to know the who, right? The initiatives and performance metrics are the what, the relationships are the who, and we conclude with what the top development opportunities are for my client. Often I'll already know this because I've been told, when we start the coaching. Often I'll do a 360-degree verbal assessment. I'll do some online assessments that will help to uncover it, but our client knows as well, right? They've had reviews, they know who they are, they've developed over time. And as you can see, this can help set up the coaching plan, right? If a client's not clear on mission, values, and edge, well, maybe we have to coach on strategy. If they're not clear on initiatives and performance metrics, maybe we have to focus in on how they're using their time, even do a time study. If it's about key relationships, we can do a lot of coaching where we develop relationship plans with the key people that matter most to their success. And when it's about development opportunities, we can coach the client to get the development they need, whether it's through new behaviors, new attitudes, new skills, new knowledge, new assignments. And so what you have here, again, very versatile tool. I use it with just about every leader I'm coaching at the beginning of the engagement to get a sense of where they're at. Okay, and again, all I hand out to them is what you see here with some simple instructions and definitions. I say, just do your best and we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Okay. What questions do you have about this? Who felt stuck, for instance, on one of these, or who has a question about how this might be used, how it relates to the overall coaching engagement, or how it relates to all the other toolkits? We have like 30 toolkits you'll receive, everything from how to coach a client through a very high stakes conversation, right, to make sure they go in there and achieve their objective, to how to build a team, how to lead change, how to create strategy that gets executed, how to do succession planning and develop other leaders, how to create a high-performing culture, even specialty ones like how to help the client go through a merger, how to develop a strong board of directors, how to manage up, how to change a behavior and make a new habit, how to shift limiting beliefs. So this is just one that I wanted to introduce you to. Okay, let me get you the toolkit. First, though, let me just see if I can show you again one more time. I just want to show you what the request is. So hopefully you can see our website on this page, okay? And what I'd like you to do, if you're interested, truly interested in getting certified as an executive coach, is just click this, get certified. And I'm particularly interested, we have a few more spots left for our 3-day certification. So if you'll click that, you'll see we have a virtual certification coming up Wednesday, September 19th through the 21st. We also have a live one coming up in California in the end of October. And, look, if you're listening to the recording, we have these every couple of months. So take a look there and just go through that. My request is that you take a look at the program and reach out anytime, right? Look at what graduates say. You can watch about us, get my bio again and see the faculty. And anytime you wish, just contact me. I'm going to put my email in here, and then I'm going to take some questions. Okay. My email is Andrew Neitlich at Center for Executive Coaching.com. Okay. So that's there, and just reach out, click it if you'd like to talk more about whether coaching is right for you. So let me take some questions here. All right. Let's see. How long would I spend in a session going through the leader's dashboard with a client? Typically 1 hour is enough, right? Because I'm giving it to the client ahead of time for them to work on. I'm not a teacher grading it, right? I'm going to ask the client, right? A lot of coaching is about letting the client go where they want to go. And so when we meet, I'm going to say, so, where do you want to start? What was helpful? What would be helpful to discuss? And they'll tell me. So an hour is usually enough. They then refine it. And again, every month or so, we'll take it out and we'll see, how are you doing on this? What would you like to update? What do you want to celebrate? Where do you have, progress? Okay. All right. So if you're having trouble, someone's saying I'm having trouble with the get certified link. I mean, it should work. If it doesn't, maybe try a different browser. Okay. Someone's asking about the BCC. So let's go to that. Okay. The board certified coach is run by a different organization than the International Coaching Federation. And it's really designed for people with a master's degree or higher in a social studies kind of field, like psychology, law, MBAs, MDs can do it, but, not so much like software engineering. And because of that, if you have a master's degree or higher, you only need 60 hours of training and you can sit for their exam. This is a group of psychologists. They do board certifications in psychology, social work, coaching, and they respect people who have master's degrees. They feel like you don't need to jump through the same number of hoops the International Coaching Federation makes you jump through. I love the name, board certified coach. That's just such a great marketing name. They're never going to be as well known as the ICF, because they don't have they don't have chapters. They're not an advocacy group for coaches. They only offer this board certified coach certification. That's included with all of our programs. All you have to do is apply to them. You don't have to do more, but you do need that master's degree. Okay. Let me see. We got some other questions here. Let me go back. We also have the ICF program that you can see here. Again, we're level 2, which means the easiest way to apply to the ICF. And then if you don't want to do the seminar, we have a core program. It gives you everything we have, and you just learn via our live weekly classes. Okay, let's see here. What else do we have? Is the toolkit still available for purchase? Yes. If you're a seasoned coach, just go right here where it says for seasoned coaches and get our full suite of proven coaching solutions. You can get everything we have. This leader's dashboard is just one of 1,000 pages of tools. Okay. Laurie says, do you ever have clients taking you down a path on how to resolve their issues specifically rather than follow the leadership dashboard? Yeah, that's right. And, one of the dilemmas coaches have to face is, when do we give advice and when do we not? How do we give advice and let the client lead? But of course, the whole point of coaching for me, I'm charging a lot as an executive coach, right? It's a lucrative field. The hourly rate of an executive coach is very high, which is why I don't charge by the hour. I charge by the engagement, and clients expect a lot. So if a client wants to go down a particular path, I'm happy to do that with them. And so absolutely. And we have great tools to handle that. Okay. If you, Janet asked, do people get certification at the seminar? Yes, you get our certified executive coach certification. and you get hours towards, the International Coaching Federation designation. You need a few more hours than our seminar provides, but our seminar includes our distance learning program. So you can get almost everything except for the mentor coaching. Okay. And let's see, other than September, yeah, we have one in December 5th through the 7th. Again, let me go to the seminar and I'll show you that. So you can see, you should go to the website and take a look, but here you go. We have one Monday, December 5th through the 7th as well. So you just sign up and let me know. Okay. There's a question about DEI and how that's built into our certification program. We have a lot of leaders of DEI who are members of our program, right? So everything we do is very consistent there. The issue with DEI these days is, how do you implement it effectively? How do you make it top of mind for clients? And so we have a lot of toolkits related to change, influence, stakeholder analysis, and so on. What we're not going to give you is, the how to do DEI. We don't have a roadmap. Frankly, a lot of my clients are very disappointed with how DEI is being implemented in their companies. I don't think anybody's quite figured it out yet. A lot of times DEI is having the opposite impact that they want to have, which is that they're alienating and isolating people. And that's too bad. And that's where coaching comes into play, because what we can do is listen to the situation the client is having. We have a number of tools to help the client figure out the right way to go, to influence people, and to lead change. All right. Let's see. Priscilla's asking how students learn about marketing. Let me show you what you're going to see when you become a member. That might be helpful. So we have a whole tab called Attracting Clients. Let me load it. And it has absolutely amazing amounts of content. Absolutely everything you need to become visible and attract clients. Okay. There's a whole business development guide. It's like 110 pages. It includes sample marketing messages, proposals, pricing, how to position yourself, how to find a niche. There's sample sales questions. There's how to create online programs. We had that during COVID. We led that since so much was going online. And then we have business development with a Zoom, an online focus. We just did one that's right here on coaching, starting a coaching business, the nuts and bolts, right? And even if you're an internal coach, you need to think about marketing and positioning, right? We also have coaching solutions here. You'll see the leaders dashboard we took you through today, but essentially when you join, let's see. So like influence, conversation, flexibility, and impact, you'll see the toolkit is there, as well as recorded classes. So right there, ready for you to go. You have a just-in-time resource. No program comes close to offering this kind of stuff. And anytime you want support, you and I can get on the phone or on a video and talk about your specific marketing. All right. Here, let me take this off record now. I'll still take questions. Those of you listening to the recording, again, please don't hesitate to reach out anytime for a strategy session to see if this is the right program for you. But thank you for your time.